Well, hey guys, what's up? Got another video for you here. This one's going to be covering my Autorack train that I've been working on. I mentioned this in the last update video that I was working on a bunch of different Autoracks, and I got quite a few to show you guys here. These are mostly Walthers cars, the bi-level and tri-level cars. So I have a bunch that I've weathered up. They're all done with prototype photos, as usual, and I actually installed the KD long shank couplers, just like what the prototypes have. Excuse the bad lighting here, but I didn't want to try to show this in my workbench area because the lighting already kind of sucks there, and I don't really want to have to try to, hand handle each one of these cars for the video. So anyway, I got a GT car to start off this video. This is a TTGX 941578. It's weathered from photos. Most of these older GT cars get pretty weathered up, so I did a lot of small tags, a lot of grime work on the panels. I did the safety striping and the prototype graffiti. Something I'm modeling on all these cars is the new TTX patch out data. They redo the TTX logo on a lot of these cars, same with the intermodal cars that they have right now. They repatched that and put their new logo on there. So I did that on this car. It's got all the heavy rust pits on the end with all the rust streaks and everything. And then the roof is nice and grimy. And then this next car is one of the really cool CSX XUP cars that they've got. They've been doing a couple of these. These are, I think, tri-level cars in real life too, but this one is a CSXT car now. They're all former Union Pacific Building America scheme cars that got patched. In this case, I patched this one off prototype photos, and I actually modeled the chipping paint on the logo because it wasn't really a quality paint job. The patching was, so I just put the logo over that, and then I beat up the logo underneath to make it look like it's bleeding through the patch out. But I did all the patching on the underbody. I added some prototype graffiti. I added a lot of rust and grime to the panels, grimed up the roof. This next GT car, pretty much the same as before. This one's got a little bit more heavy rust on the ends. Added the prototype graffiti again. It's got some patching on the area where the data is, and then I did all the fine rust spots and streaking on little joints on the panels. You can see I did all the graffiti there. This one is a TFM car. Pretty heavy grime work on these. These are pretty heavily rusted up at this point. Most of the logos are pretty beat up too, so I actually modeled this one peeling off. You can see it's all whited out too, which is awesome. And I did the graffiti, safety striping and all that, grimed up the panels with that one. And then this is a pretty straightforward Union Pacific car, ETTX 701557. That's a relatively fresh painted car. It does have some small graffiti tags here and there. And I did some grime washes on the sides and weathered up the roof a little bit, but it's pretty simple. And the GT car here, another rust bucket. I got, what is it? I think, yeah, it's just the three. Got that one, this one, and this one are the GT cars. But again, there's some really cool graffiti. It's got some custom patching. I added the safety striping. Lots of rust on the sides. Cool graffiti. And then there's that TTX patch I mentioned. Most of these cars have that, so I modeled that on this one as well. And again, the roof on this one is a little bit more rusty than all the others. I got some photos of a couple of these cars with rusty roofs, so I modeled a rusty roof on this one, and then the rust is of course bleeding down the sides. And then I modeled all the rust pits and overspray on the sides. This one was a really cool project car because it's I had to modify it a little bit from stock. So what I did was I actually added these styrene panels to the sides because the real prototype Sioux cars have these. So I modeled that, got the grime work on the ends, on the sides. I did a really heavy fade wash to the sides with oils to dull down that bright red, then tone it down to a kind of a pink color. And I added all the graffiti and patchwork, safety striping. This one came out really good. This is actually one of my favorites I did. This was, I think, one of the first ones I did, or one of the, either the first or second car I actually did. And it's got the nice rusty roof. CSX car, pretty straightforward, relatively fresh repaint. It's got the graffiti just started on the sides, just some kind of crappy tags here and there. But again, just a relatively simple fresh repaint. This is a KCS car. This one is really cool because it's got all the neat graffiti on the sides. You can see I really spent a lot of time doing the graffiti on the side of this one. Like that. So I'm really happy with that. And then it's got a lot of rust working on the roof. This next one is a UP car. This one has the full side patching where they covered up some graffiti on the panels. That's a common thing you see on a lot of these cars. You'll see the mismatched panels on the side. So I modeled that on this one. The Building America scheme again with a relatively faded, beat up logo. Grimed it up pretty well, put a lot of washes on it. It's got a lot of fine rust and everything on the base of the car. A lot of that rust kind of travels down to from these posts, so that's what I was trying to kind of replicate with this. I did that with oils and powders here and there. It came out pretty good, and then of course I repainted some of these panels, same on the other side. Here's the end of this one. Now getting into some custom painted cars, these are the really interesting ones you guys will really love. I made an NKCR car. These are pretty common anymore, but I actually took this one, I stripped it down and I repainted it with some Tamiya paints. I put a bunch of decal sheets together to do all the custom data, put the safety striping on it, did the custom reporting marks and all that. It's got the TTX logo there. On the sides I did a really special paint treatment to make these look like bare aluminum. So what I did was I took these off and I actually spray painted them black, and then I actually went over these with the silver Sharpie really randomly and kind of blotchy. It's not a very good paint job, but I did that with the silver Sharpie to make the metal look a little bit oxidized. The effect came out really good because it actually does look like real metal. I'm really happy with that, but this is one of my favorite cars I actually did. This is the first one I custom painted, but again, it's got all the really cool custom data and everything. This was a real time consuming project, but it looks really good. Now these next two here are custom painted BNSF racks, and I know what you guys are thinking, what the hell? Yeah, I know. So these are kind of an attempt at painting one of these orange BNSF racks. I have two of them. I have two different variations. The first one here is a BNSF 27666 or TTGX 952792. It's completely custom painted. I did all the prototype data, added the safety stripes. I did the same treatment with these panels as I did with the NKCR car. I used custom BNSF decals to do the panels. It's got all that nice data. Now the reason why the paint looks kind of off on these is because it's too orange. And what happened was I got a really good paint that I was using out of the can. The problem was as I painted the sides, as I built up the coats of orange to cover up the base color, the coats got so thick to the point where the orange started kind of becoming this red color. At the point in time, it just got out of control and it ended up becoming more of an orange red, and the real cars are more of like a brownish orange color. So that's the kind of the downside of these cars. I still like them and I'm happy with how they came out, and there's a lot of work in them, but in hindsight what I should have done, I should have probably used a different orange, or better yet, before I decaled the car I should have sprayed the entire car body with some yellow to maybe help dull the orange down. But I could go back and do it again, but at this point I already have most of the weathering on the sides and everything, so it'd be a lot of work to fix that. But as they are, I mean, they still look cool, but they're just too orange is the problem. So that's this one. This is a pretty standard car. The whole thing is completely painted. The rarer version I did was the version that has the unpainted white underbody. This version. These are a little bit harder to spot, but these are the actual BNSF sublettered cars, this version. So these are a little bit harder to spot, but you can find some of these, and I'm not sure why they did this paint job on these cars the way they did, but I've heard a couple rumors about the shops, I don't know, cutting corners and not painting the underbody, or if it was some kind of anti-rust paint or something for the underbody. I'm not sure what the actual reason they did that is, but this one's basically painted the exact same way. It's just a BNSF lettered car, but all the data and everything is pretty much the same. Again, custom painted the roof, did the panel treatment on the sides to make it look like oxidized aluminum, just like this one. And on this car here, the next one, it's another Building America car. It's got a lot of heavy rust and grime pitting on the sides. It's got a lot of custom graffiti, lots of heavy grime on the underbody. It's got some spray paint patching over the graffiti. Safety striping's added. It's got some really nice graffiti again on the sides. And then on the back we have a TTX lease car. I modeled this one. I'm probably going to sell it, but I added custom decals to this to make it look like one of the leased cars that's running around right now. You see these all the time. Most of them are bi-level though. I don't think they have any actual tri-level, but it's kind of something I overlooked when I did it. I just did it on the fly, and then I realized afterwards I used the wrong car to do it. So it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's cool though. I really like it. But I'll probably just end up selling it. That or I might end up keeping it. I haven't really made up my mind just yet, but that's the TTX lease car that I did. The one in the back was the most time consuming out of all of them. This is basically one of the really older Union Pacific style cars that has the heavy rust and then the really faded Union Pacific logo where it's completely whited out. But I did a lot of heavy rust work and grime on the sides. I completely rusted up the roof. I got lots of fine rust work on the sides. Got the patches made out for the safety striping. It's very heavily faded. You can see all the individual rust streaks that I did on the sides, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot of work in this, lots of heavy rust pitting. And then on the opposite side, I did some graffiti to this side. So it's got a lot of that in. And the way I did the panels on this one was I darkened them with some washes. I lightened them up actually first with a white wash. Then I went back with the grime wash to darken them. Then a black wash. And then I followed behind with powders and built them up in progressive layers to get this grimy, rusty panel look. But as you can see, it's a very effective look. And then I did some rust streaks and everything with oils and acrylics. Again, it's got some custom graffiti tags here and there. Lots of rust pitting. There's the custom graffiti on this part of the car. I'm really happy with it, the way it turned out. It just came out awesome, but this one probably has about 20 hours of work into it. I'm not even kidding, it was a lot of work. And then it's got the panel seams on the top done up, but that came out really good. The ends are also really cool because it's got the real heavy rust. As you can see, it's just insane. It's getting eaten up pretty bad. But that's one of my favorite cars I did out of all this. And then, just to kind of recap, I'll show you guys the opposite side of all these as I go here, so you guys can get the whole picture. But again, all that really nice custom painted graffiti. That's one of the things I really like to do on all these, but all these cars have that. But we're talking tons and tons of work here. I mean, this is hours upon hours of work to do just these cars alone. And I still got like 12 or so of these Intermountain or Walthers Autoracks to do. I'm not kidding. I have a lot of these. But that's the ones I've gotten done so far. These last two here are Automax cars. These are the Athearn Genesis. I picked these up dirt cheap. This Automax car is weathered from prototype photos. I did the darkening on the weld seams. I added the custom painted graffiti. Got the individual patchwork done off of photos. Really oxidized and beat up the roofs. And then I modeled the graffiti and everything on this one as well. It's got the replacement panels on the top, and then a lot of heavy grime work on this side here. This car here is a custom patched WK. It's got the if I can zoom out here, the custom painted graffiti. This was one of my favorites, so I custom patched this one. It's got all the grime work on the ends, and then on this side again the custom GATX logos I added to this one. It's got lots of nice grime work, streaking and everything like that. Custom patching. There's the graffiti going down the side, and then you get to this part here with all the custom painted graffiti, so that's pretty cool. I'm only going to be modeling 2 of these, so these are the only cars I'm going to be doing in this style. But they're really cool. I really like these. Real quick over here, I also got some of the Intermountain racks. This is the first run of them that I've actually bought. I was waiting for them to get a little bit better in quality, and they improved the third run with better quality panels, which is nice. So I ended up getting 2 UP cars, Mopac cars. I got a BNSF Circle logo car. I got 2 of the BNSF Orange and 2 of the Faramex, the really popular Faramex cars. These got bought up real fast. They're really getting hard to find. These actually came in with defects too. This one has a double stamped paint on one of the panels, and then on this one of them's flipped. Yep, imagine that. So that's pretty cool. I paid $70 a piece for all these though from Spring Creek, and then a friend of mine, Kelpie Vice, he was nice enough to send me some of these, so that's really cool. But these are all other cars I'll be working on pretty soon. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I know this one is a little long, but that's just some of the Autoracks I've been working on. I'll be getting some of the Skill Trains cars next, so those will be the next cars I'll start working on, and then of course the Intermountain cars. So hopefully that's tides you over until now. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take it easy.